Yo, what it is, you know what it is. It's your man, King Musa. Welcome to the Cheat Sheet, where we decode success from creators, professors, and business owners. I'm your host, King Musa, and today we'll be stepping in the world of research and graduate education with an expert. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Forrest Lane, the Dean of the Office of Research and Graduate Study at Stephen F. Austin State University. Dr. Lane has been an instrumental drive in research initiatives and supporting graduate students at SFA. We're excited to learn about his journey and his vision. Welcome, Dr. Lane.
I like it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
No, I appreciate you. Before we get started though, Mike, I have a quick question for you. When you were in college, what was your favorite experience?
I had many. It's hard to pick out
Right.
one. I went to Texas A&M University for my undergraduate.
Mm-hmm.
I was in
An
the
Aggie.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was in the Corps of Cadets there,
Mhm.
and so there were a lot of experiences with that,
Right.
and it was a lot of fun. There were some hard parts about it, but there were also a lot of really exciting things that I was able to do
Yes,
as a part of
sir.
that organization.
So that's ROTC, correct?
Yes, although not everybody has to go in the military.
Right.
There's probably, I think maybe 40% of the students who
Yeah.
are in that will actually be commissioned in some way. But there's a lot who go there for a lot of other reasons, for the structure, for the opportunity to connect in the same way that, others do in fraternities and
Yes, sir.
sororities and things like that, as a way to be able to connect with others on campus. And it's a unique way to go
Mhm.
through college, I'll say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I need you to debunk a myth for me.
Okay.
Okay. I know we're supposed to be diving in everything, but you mentioned ROTC. Um, if you take counseling services or like the hub like we have,
Uh-huh.
right? Does that kind of put a flag on you in ROTC?
I don't believe so. I
Okay.
mean, just like in all parts of our society, I mean, you got people with health needs, mental, physical, all of that. That
Yes.
doesn't change whether you're in the military or not. So I think that very much exists in some ways. I think um, is it's all I don't know. I don't think
Okay.
it's a problem. I think
Hey.
yeah, I don't think it's an issue. I think it exists there. I don't think it puts a flag on you. I think we
Okay.
want people to be healthy in all regards.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. No, I just had a friend that he's in ROTC, and I was like, bro, you should go to the hub. He's like, I can't. I'm in ROTC, but we don't know what they got going on over there.
Yeah, there may be some, depending on what the situation is and
Mhm.
whatever the circumstances might be, there could be circumstances. I
Right.
mean, even like from a health perspective, there's some health conditions that would make uh, y- you know, being commissioned a problem. I
Right.
mean, but again, without knowing details about that, I don't know that just going there in
Yeah.
and of itself is a red flag.
Okay. I don't think it's gonna be that bad. Let's go ahead and dive on in though.
All right,
All
sounds
right.
good.
So, can you introduce yourself and describe your role as the Dean of Research and Graduate Study at SFA?
Sure. So the role of Dean of Research and Graduate Studies is pretty broad. I mean, I think the name itself kind of describes a little bit about what I do, but
Right.
it's probably a little hard to wrap your hands around. Um, in a lot of ways, I serve as the Chief Research Officer here
Right.
for SFA. The titles vary from one institution or another, but my job is to help support all things research. That could be external grants, people
Mhm.
submitting to things like the National Science Foundation or
Right.
National Institutes of Health, or sometimes private foundations. So we try to help support faculty in that regard. Um, Compliance, anytime you're doing research activities, there's a whole bunch of rules around what you can and you can't do,
Yeah.
what you can do with people, what you can do with animals.
Okay.
In fact, we were just out at the Agricultural Center last week. A lot of animals there, and there's a lot that goes into managing that.
Yes,
So you have to
sir.
be real careful with all those things. Um, and then we also support undergraduate research. I know
Okay.
people think about that from the context of from faculty and faculty
Mhm.
doing that kind of work, but we have a lot of undergraduates who do engage with faculty on projects.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm always encouraged when I see some of the things they're doing. And some departments are really involved in that. I think one that immediately comes to mind. Well, I was talking about ag earlier. They're doing a lot of active
Right.
projects with students. our chemistry department.
Chemistry for
They
sure.
do a lot
Yeah.
of active projects with students. So there's lots of examples like that. So that's the research side.
Right.
And then the graduate study or graduate school is all things graduate. So
Okay.
we help from application from students who are applying. We'll see every single application. I think we had 1,200 for fall applications come through in some form or another.
Wow.
So that's a lot of applications that we're going through and managing and supporting through the admission process. And then once you get here, both the onboarding, student support,
Right.
and trying to help you get all the way through to graduation.
So when a graduate student's applying for, graduate school and everything, um, they're going through you,
Mhm.
right? And they still pick their department. So do they have two deans at that point?
No, in a lot of ways, we're a support function.
Okay.
That could be confusing. I could
Right.
totally see that. They still work with their academic unit and their academic college,
Hmm.
and so we're much more in a support role in that way.
Gotcha.
Um, so there's no competing interests or
Okay.
anything else like
I
that.
thought they
Yeah.
would have to address two deans and
Well,
everything, but
sometimes there are. Sometimes
okay.
there's policies and there's things that they do have to come through our office for.
Right.
But that's done in collaboration with their whatever college they're coming from.
Right.
So it depends, but
Yes, sir.
again, we're more in a support role.
Okay. So now let's learn a little bit more about you. Where are you from?
Uh-huh.
Do you have any siblings and just life before you got here?
Okay. Yeah. I do. I have 4 different siblings,
Okay.
and I moved around as a kid. I spent some time in Oklahoma.
Hmm.
I spent I consider home San Antonio. That's where I went to high school
Got
and
you.
where a lot of my friends and kind of those memories are at. So San Antonio feels most like home. I've been in a lot of different places even after that. I mean, I went to college in Texas
What
and to,
college did you go to?
like Texas A&M.
A&M. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Excuse me. But worked in different parts of the country. I mean,
Hmm.
I've worked for a while out in California in the San Francisco Bay Area. Um, I've worked for a number of different universities and institutions.
Yes,
I've worked at
sir.
TCU, UNT, University of Southern Mississippi, and Sam Houston. So I've been around a
Whoa.
couple different ones.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you got all the info we might need.
Right.
Now it sounds like your parents were in the military with all this
They
moving around.
weren't. That
Okay.
just life circumstances
Okay.
just moved us around. They were not in the military. Well, I say that. My dad was for a brief while, but that wasn't because that wasn't what prompted any of
Right.
the moves. It was just life.
Yes, sir. And what did you end up studying at A&M?
Yeah. I studied political science and economics. That's what I studied, which
Okay.
isn't what I wound up going to grad school for, but yeah, that's what I studied.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Do you have any other interests or hobbies outside of the academic life?
Yeah. I for a long time did a lot of running and triathlons and
Mhm.
those kinds of activities. Unfortunately, I don't feel like I'm old, but my body's telling me I'm older, and so I can't do those things in the way
Okay.
that I used to. But really enjoyed it. It was a really positive atmosphere.
Yes, sir.
Um, I, I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Okay. So sports and any other ones that you find yourself doing?
Well, I mean, watching or doing, those are
I
two
mean,
different
either
things,
one.
right?
It could be something you love watching,
Yeah.
doing, rather you like reading books, going to the beach, whatever is your hobby outside of
Yeah.
work. How do you get your mind off of work?
Yeah, well, some of that also, I'm in a life stage. I got 3 kids who
Okay.
are all kind of that middle school age. So we're busy running around. I'd
Right.
love to tell you I have a lot of time to go and do other things, but between the job and trying to help my own kids with their
Yeah.
sports and interests, it does make time pretty limited. Um, so yeah, I mean, I enjoy running. We don't get to do that. I don't get to do that as much in the same way.
Right.
Anyway, I actually miss that a lot. But for fun, I enjoy going to the beach. I really
Mhm.
do. We really enjoy the coast. That's kind of my happy place.
Yes, sir.
I wish I could spend more time there, but fortunately, it's not too far away.
Right. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Let's go ahead and dive into your career.
Sure.
What are some main objectives of the Office of Research and Graduate Studies, and what are some key initiatives that you're leading?
Yeah. Again, as I mentioned a little bit in describing our office, I mean, we support research activities, we
Mhm.
support the graduate student experience. Uh, they're related. You do research as a graduate student, but
Right.
we also serve. They're sometimes independent. Um, I think for me, it's really helping SFA to elevate what we're doing. And I shouldn't even say elevate. In some ways, just helping others understand what we're
Mhm.
doing. I think there's a lot of great things we're doing without doing anything new.
Right.
Sometimes where we have room to grow is helping to better communicate the impact of the things that we're doing. I think the community around here is
Mhm.
aware of what's going on campus, but there's so much more that we can do to help make others outside of our region and our area
Yes, sir.
better understand those activities because there really are some really fascinating partnerships and collaborations going on.
Okay.
I brought up, the chemistry, biochemistry is one example earlier on. Uh, One of the great examples of an activity that we're doing, uh, they are partnering with Thermo Fisher Scientific. They're training students on equipment that
Right.
they're going to uh, do out there in the field. And these students are getting great jobs right there immediately coming out through some really great research engagement that they're having as a junior and a senior on campus.
Yes, sir.
So I think the state cares about how we ensure people are ready to go be successful in their career.
Yes, sir.
And when we have tangible examples of that, we need to make sure people are aware of that. I mean, you're making a big investment by coming to college,
Mhm.
and I think we're achieving those things. We just need to tell our story, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yes,
We need to do a
sir.
better job telling our story.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Um, Career journey, right? Were
Yeah.
there any pivotal moments, any experiences that led you to this position, and how did you get to SFA with all that experience you just went over?
Yeah, it's a journey. I don't think I would have ever expected to be here in this role. I didn't even start in academics. I
Mhm.
started in the energy business,
Okay.
and made a life choice to pursue something different. And I'm glad I made that choice. I think there's hard aspects of any job you do,
Right.
no matter what choices you make. But I really enjoy being on a college campus in that environment. And I started out actually in student affairs, doing working with student programs
Okay.
and transition and activities and all of that kind of stuff. I thought that's where I wanted to stay, but there were some things that made me realize I really enjoyed the research part of that.
Yes, sir.
And so that kind of led me down this faculty path. I spent, 15 or so years just being a faculty member and doing research around
Mhm.
college students. And I think that was really eye opening. I learned a lot. I probably learned more after college than I learned in college
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
college students. And there's so many unique experiences and how to serve students. I mean, a lot's changed in college.
Yes, sir.
And I think we have to be responsive to new needs and
Mhm.
new expectations on us. And so that's been a lot of fun. That took me in a number of different roles. I served as a department chair for a while, served as an associate dean in one of our colleges in the
Okay.
College of Education. And I've always worked in this research and graduate student space. So it was a natural fit move into that here at a university level at SFA. And I don't know that that was the plan. I don't
Right.
know that that was the expectation. More opportunities that have just come along the way and tried to embrace each of those opportunities and do the best job I can in the role that I have at that moment.
Mhm. Okay. I mean, it seems seamless, but were there any challenges you encountered and had to like overcome?
Sure, lots of them. I mean, gosh, school itself is a challenge,
Yes.
you know? I mean, I'm not a first generation college student,
Right.
but my mom went to college in her 30s, part time. I don't know necessarily had a lot of great advice about how to do that for myself and how to
Yes.
pursue that. Nobody in my family went to graduate school, and even though you know something about college, having graduated from that, going to graduate school is something different,
Okay.
and I think that's a whole different, unique experience, and I had to figure that out.
Mhm.
even what I wanted to do in a career path. Did I want to be a faculty member, or did I want to do something else on a college campus?
Right.
And I think there's some real things to wrestle with through that. Um, Other challenges, I think, trying to, I, each research project I've been on has been challenging. I
Yeah.
think supporting students, again, there's an intersection of what I do professionally with just my work in general. I think going back to college students today, how we
Mhm.
serve students well, it's so different than what it was 25 years ago when I went to
Absolutely.
college. I mean, I I didn't have a computer until I showed up at college. It took me a while. My kids didn't. Was a real eye-opening moment for me. I didn't understand the concept of live TV. So when
Okay.
we were watching a football game, they want to know, why can't I just fast forward through the commercials? And I'm like, because
Mm.
in their world, everything has been just,
On demand.
yeah, yeah, it's on demand,
Yeah.
right? I don't have to watch stuff I don't want to watch. So even that concept, anyway, the reason I bring that up is how we teach, how we deliver that, the kinds of technology we're working with,
Mhm.
AI, all of these things, so much has changed rapidly. And I think that's part of the challenge, but also the opportunity in it. How do we take all of that
Yeah.
and continue to be relevant? Because it's a lot just to learn one new technology. By the time you learn that, now a new one's rolled
Yeah.
out. So it's a lot of work to do that. But again, I go back to, that's the exciting part of it, and continuing to leverage that in a way that makes uh, students be able to make real change in their lives. I think getting a college degree is probably the most impactful thing you'll do.
Yes, sir.
And I don't even know if students who complete that understand the impact that has,
Mhm.
because it's not just them. It's the families that haven't even had yet,
Right.
or their siblings or brothers or sisters or nieces, or cousins, or whoever sees that. In some cases, inspiration for parents. I remember a staff member I had who, all of her kids had been to college, but she was finishing her degree with me while she was working for me in her
Right.
50s. And so again, it's a huge impact. I think it's hard to quantify, but I think that's a tremendous responsibility we have, and we want to make sure we do that well.
Yes, sir. Now I want to take a step back because you mentioned something about not experiencing graduate school and just the challenges that goes into it. Most students thinks it's just more school, right?
Yeah.
So what is something that people don't pay attention to? What are some of the challenges graduate students have? And being from your experience of going to graduate school and having no idea, and now you're the dean of
Yeah.
those graduate students. What are some things that you kind of seen and like you can share with their experience?
Yeah, some things are technical, just like writing and actually doing research, but I
Hmm.
think it's broader than that. You're really starting to specialize in something. So what is it you really want to do?
Hmm.
Um, even though you're getting a major as an undergraduate student, it's still broad. You still have opportunities to do a lot of different things. You're not
Right.
locked into anything necessarily. But as you start getting into graduate school, now you're going even further down a specialization. So you really need to think critically about, why am I doing this? Where am
Okay.
I going? I think you really have to have a little bit more of a vision in terms of your career.
Yes, sir.
I think another part of that is, what's related is the end goal. I mean, are you trying to stay in academics?
Hmm.
Because that, I think, requires some different types of activities. I mean, if you're going to work in higher education, if you're going to be a researcher, then you need to really be engaged in those kinds of activities. You may not have ever done that before.
Okay.
I think we're doing more of that now. I don't remember as an undergraduate student doing undergraduate research, but now I see lots of students doing it. But
Yeah.
for me, engaging in some kind of project was brand new as a student.
Right.
Leading that and realizing that at some point in this academic journey, there's only so much a textbook could teach you. You're a
Hmm.
part of actually generating that knowledge at some point. I have some students I remember one student, she gave me bad evaluation.
Okay.
And I remember telling it to my boss because I got it. And I said, I don't really know what to do with this. She was very offended that I said I didn't know in one of our classes. And I don't even recall saying that, but maybe I said it more than I realized. And I think it was misunderstood. It wasn't that it didn't have opinions
Right.
about what she was asking me, but that what you're asking are things we don't have answers to.
Right.
We're still this is not static. It's dynamic. We're figuring that out
Yeah.
as we go. Like, what's the impact of the pandemic on this younger generation? I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
We're figuring that out. We're learning that. Lots of people are doing studies in all kinds of spaces to better understand that. So at some point, you become a part of that knowledge creation
Yeah.
process. There's only so much more a book can teach you, and I think that's a hard mindset to change and to think, okay, I have to now take all this information I've acquired and think about what do I
Absolutely.
do with that?
Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. Um, what are some new recent opportunities in research and graduate studies that faculty and students should be aware of?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think about what would be most appropriate to share.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, so many things we do behind the scenes, and I wouldn't want to bore people with that. But, we really are trying to improve the graduate student experience. Everything from the way we onboard students. I mean, we just had our first university-wide orientations,
Right.
graduate student orientations this fall. We're starting a new thesis dissertation boot camp.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that we're trying to do to just help them be more successful. Um, for faculty, I think it's really investing in the research space, which really
Right.
means helping them to get this funding they need to do the great projects they're doing.
Yes, sir.
And we are working with a lot of external agencies to help support that, so we can continue to get funding and great resources to keep those projects going. I think my message would be, we are invested in you,
Mhm.
and we're going to continue to invest in that. And I do believe that there's a lot of opportunity, especially being part of the University of Texas system.
I was just about to ask you, did that impact a lot of the things going into research and graduate studies?
Yeah, in lots of ways. I mean, I'll give you one example. So, the University of Texas system has something called retention grant. It's called
Mhm.
STARS, but it's $800,000 that we receive every year that I've got to disperse out to
Wow.
faculty just to support buying equipment.
Right.
So, we're thinking about this space we're in right now,
Mhm.
and okay, these are all. I mean, this takes a lot of money and resources to maintain and to keep it up.
Yes, sir.
That's $800,000 every year. I'm not aware of any change to that we're
Right.
going to have to invest in faculty to support their equipment and research enterprise. That's huge. I mean,
Yes.
just in the last 12 months, we've just dispersed over $1.6 million. In 5 years, how does that not make a
Wow.
difference?
Yeah.
Like I think those things are very real. We've had lots of investment in other ways from the system, and both in terms of just projects, facilities, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Thank you so much. One more question before we go. What advice would you offer students who are considered pursuing advanced degrees and careers in research?
Yeah, I think I go back to what do you want to do?
Mhm.
I think that there are some great programs here at SFA, and even if they're looking outside of here, sometimes we're educating great undergrads here who are going to
Right.
go off to Stanford or wherever they're going to go. Uh, but I think, learn about where you're headed and who can help you in that journey because especially at graduate school, I think it's connecting with faculty. I
Yeah.
think the mentorship piece
Mhm.
is really important. And look for that. Look for people who can really help you in the specific area you're looking to expand your knowledge.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Lane. Thank you for joining us and sharing your insight of the world of research and graduate study. It has been great to hear about the exciting opportunities at SFA and your vision for the future. Remember, listeners, success in research starts with curiosity and commitment. Subscribe to the Cheat Sheet and follow us on social media and stay connected. This is King Musa signing off, encouraging you to keep learning and keep discovering.